Then his head was cut off and stuck on a pike on the highest rooftop of the fort, as food for birds, according to the 19th century American historian Francis Parkman. A stark warning to other settlers who might be considering similar schemes. The display was also meant to serve as a stern message to the local indigenous peoples, that the newcomers meant business. In 1763, the conclusion of the 7 Years' War, the first global conflict in history, saw Britain and her allies victorious and France defeated. Large swaths of previously French-owned mainland North America, including Quebec, fell under the sovereignty of Britain. Although Canada remained a collection of separate British colonies until Confederation in 1867, a royal proclamation in 1763 replaced the prevailing Canadian legal system with the laws of England. Image, portrait painting. Caption, Samuel de Champlain, explorer, cartographer, and administrator of the colony of Quebec. Originally taken as authentic, this image was later found to be a false portrait, based on a 1654 engraving of Michel Particelli d'Emery. Within the criminal justice system, the British strongly favored hanging for the punishment of capital crimes, preferably in a marketplace or similarly busy area to ensure a large audience. Why hanging? Historically, other methods were used, such as beheading for highborn folk or burning at the stake for heretics. But traditionally, the most common form of capital punishment since Saxon times was hanging. The thinking was that, even without optional extras like beheading, hanging was a pretty nasty sentence, well befitting felons found guilty of heinous crimes. By the end of the 1700s in Britain, however, the litany of crimes regarded as sufficiently horrible to warrant the death penalty had swelled to 220, including such nefarious acts as keeping company with gypsies or skulking in the dark with a blackened face. In Canada, too, public hangings based on the English model gradually became the only method of dealing with serious crimes. As in Britain, the list was long. In the early 1800s, people were sentenced to death by hanging for more than 100 different offenses. Fraud and burglary were on the list. Two men, N. Ganson and A. Jeffreys, were hanged in 1821 for passing forged bills. In 1828, Patrick Bergen of St. John, New Brunswick, age 18 or 19, received the death penalty for the double offense of stealing a watch and some money from his former employer and clothing from a sailor's boarding house. Given the power and preeminence of religion in Canada at that time, your very life would have been in jeopardy if you were caught scrawling slogans on the side of a church. You could also be hanged for stealing your neighbor's cow, which was the fate of B. Clement of Montreal. And just in case you thought that the law protected the young as it does today, think again. Children were regarded as miniature adults and treated as such. Clement was only 13 years old when executed. In 1859, the catalogue of crimes in the statutes of the United Province of Canada, Ontario and Quebec today, was reduced to a more manageable number. On the list were murder, rape, treason, administering poison or wounding with intent to commit murder, unlawfully abusing a girl under 10, buggery with man or beast, robbery with wounding, burglary with assault, arson, casting away a ship, and exhibiting a false signal endangering a ship. By 1865, the number of capital crimes had been pared down further. Out went buggery and burglary and arson. From then on, only murder, rape, and treason were punishable by death. July 1st, 1867, marked the date of Confederation. Precisely at noon, the two new provinces of Ontario and Quebec, together with New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, joined to form the Dominion of Canada, with John A. Macdonald as its first Prime Minister. By 1905, a uniform criminal code had been rolled out.